Welcome to the ACE-UP Executive Series. I'm Michael McCarthy, and for the next few minutes, I'm going to be chatting about executive presence and how to develop it through consistency. There are two items that have helped me with being more consistent that increase my executive presence. The first one is the treatment of others. The second is consistent rules. So let's take a look at consistent treatment of others. Back when I was in my early 20s, I worked for a famous money manager in Great Neck, New York named Gerald Appel. I was about 24 years old. I was the only man in the office. The other 17 people on staff were women between the ages of 40 and 55. When it came time for the raise review, I was taken out to Peter Luger's steakhouse for my raises. And that generated a lot of resentment in the office from the women who thought I'm just part of the old boy network. Well, I always thought that I was paid less because when I went out to that steakhouse for my negotiation for the raise, I always got a lousy raise. And when I pushed for more money, Jerry, my boss, said, "Michael, I'm taking you out to a nice restaurant. How can you ask for more money?" And I got a guilt trip. So whenever I came back from my raise review, I resented the women who never went to that expensive restaurant because I felt they got more money. It wasn't until about 10 years later that Tracy from the accounting department, one of my coworkers, we went out and we started talking about it. And she said, "Oh, we always resented you because you made more money." And I said, "I always thought that I made less money because I had to pay for the Peter Luger Steakhouse and the women were twice my age. I thought they made more money because they had seniority and they had worked longer at the firm." When Tracy became the head of accounting after I had left, she told me we were all making the same money. We all had the same salary. However, we all thought that there was gender and age bias, and we didn't respect our boss the same because we didn't think that we were being treated the same. So even though we were being treated the same financially, we didn't feel that way, and that came out in our work. I would encourage you, if you want to increase your executive presence, make it clear that you are treating others the same and make it clear that they see that. The second rule on consistency is consistent rules. Several years ago, I got a new puppy. His name was Cody, and he was a yellow lab, and I loved him. He's super friendly. And I thought if I train Cody incredibly well, I'll be able to bring him into any store that I want, and it'll be okay. So I went to a dog trainer, and she trained police dogs. I wanted someone really, really good. She said to me, "When you give Cody a command, such as to sit, you always have to make sure that he follows that rule." And she said, "I know you're a nice guy, and it looks to me like maybe when you're playing with Cody that sometimes you're going to enforce that rule when you have to for his safety, like being at a stoplight. But when you're kidding around with him, you might let him get away with not sitting." And I said, "Yeah, I don't want to be a tough guy. I want to love my dog, and I want my dog to love me back." She said, "I know you want to be nice by sometimes enforcing the rule and sometimes not. But all you're going to do is bring confusion into the area. And Cody's never going to know when you're serious or not." And I realized in my management style, when I wanted people to like me, I wouldn't always follow my own rules. But then when I did want them to follow the rules, sometimes they didn't because I wasn't consistent. I would encourage you, if you're going to have rules or guidelines in your office, make them consistent so that people understand very clearly where everyone is coming from. In conclusion, if you want to increase your executive presence, be consistent on two levels. Treat everyone the same and make sure they know they're being treated the same. And second, if you're going to have rules or guidelines, make sure that those rules or guidelines are followed all the time, regardless of the circumstances. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.